What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. It's been a while since I talked about Star Wars. Now, the original or the final trailer for Rise of the Skywalker was released this week, along with a lot of other information about the final in this trilogy until the next trilogy of Star Wars. This is, of course, Rise of Skywalker, which will give us the battle of the forehead versus the nose. That is, of course, Daisy Ridley's character as well as Kylo Ren's character battling it out for whose large body part can take up more of the big screen. However, there's been some leaks, and I'm not going to show them. I'm not even really going to talk about spoilers in here because I know that people that watch this video will still probably want to see Star Wars. I probably won't, at least not in the theater anyway. But nonetheless, Disney is striking YouTubers for showing these images, which inadvertently proves they're legitimate. Big-brained move, Disney. Probably should have just let it be and not acknowledged it. But what do I know? Apparently, they went to the same PR school as Blizzard. Disney, this is via Bounding into Comics, Disney reportedly copyright struck YouTuber World of Geekdom after he published a video containing the new Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker leaked photos. The leaked photos, which can be seen below, you can't see them, show a redesigned Emperor Palpatine sitting on a throne and firing Force lightning up into the air as Rey looks up at him from below. You can find the image of Palpatine linked off-site here in case it gets taken down. The second leaked photo shows both Rey and Kylo Ren wielding blue lightsabers side by side. In case Disney pulls down this tweet, you can see it here. YouTuber World of Geekdom posts a screenshot of an email he received indicating Disney put a copyright claim on his video, Major Star Wars The Rise of the Skywalker leaked images. World of Geekdom stated in the community post, here is Disney copyright claiming my new video that showed the leaked images from Rise of the Skywalker. Now, this is concerning. I'm not sure if this is within the rules of what would be considered a copyright strike. I think what this probably would constitute is Disney abusing the copyright system. Certainly, this particular YouTuber isn't the one that leaked the photos. Is it illegal to cover them? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I suppose leaks might be in a gray area, but I'm going to guess that YouTube isn't going to independently reach out to any website that posted it. I'm pretty sure that YouTube isn't going to independently take down Reddit posts containing it, or they're not going to reach out to Twitter and copyright strike images. So my guess is they're just abusing the YouTube system because it's easy to abuse. And of course, that's disgusting. And because of their abuse of the YouTube system, I've decided to make this video. You hopefully will decide to leave a like on this video and a comment on this video, and we can remind Disney, of course, of what the Streisand effect is. World of Geekdom stated in a YouTube post, the Rise of Skywalker, which are obviously real because they are claiming copyright. Right. If they aren't real, then you can't claim them as copyright. Big brain to move, Disney. I understand the company's getting mad at leaks. Trust me, I know better than anyone, but this is ridiculous. And then we have the screenshot. As well as in the video, he talks about these images that popped up on Reddit that I posted and made a video discussing what the images pertain to and what happened in the spoilers for the film where these scenes come from and based on what I've heard. He continues, this is a major deal, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry about my channel because they didn't give me a strike, thankfully, and I am disputing it. But what we have here is what we call the Streisand effect. Those leaked images that I promoted on this channel that I showed from Reddit were 100% real. Now we know for a fact they are. And there's a whole bunch of other leaks out there that I don't want to go into, but it would appear as though this does provide some legitimacy because they're from similar sources. Now, Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker, I think, is set up to fail, and here's why. They've got too much ground to make up, all right? Rumors are that they were doing reshoots like up until the 11th hour, like somewhat recently, still doing reshoots from the original film. It's 2.5 hours long, which makes it the longest Star Wars film ever. But one could argue that 2.5 hours doesn't seem like enough time to make up for all the problems, to close all the loops, to correct all the wrongs. 2.5 hours doesn't seem long enough. And that's crazy because I, for one, am getting sick of these like 3-hour marathon movies where just literally everything's left in. But, you know, if you're talking about ending a trilogy, you're talking about doing it right. 3 hours for a film is fine. I mean, most of the Lord of the Rings films were that long and they didn't feel it. Maybe you could argue that Fellowship dragged a little bit, but by the time you got into Two Towers of Return of the King, those 3 hours flew right by and you didn't want to miss any of it. Bring it on, Star Wars, the AMC Theaters Showtime page for Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker lists runtime for 2 hours and 35 minutes, which would make it the longest movie in Star Wars saga. It's safe to say that it won't stop fans from showing up. After all, Skywalker ticket sales beat out Avengers Endgame in the first hour of pre-sales on Atom tickets. Pretty significant. Now, the fandom for Star Wars is ravenous. The fandom for Star Wars opening weekend fans is second to none. So you could look at a movie like Solo, a Star Wars story, which probably had similar sales numbers, but also lost money. So for Disney to make money on this film, first of all, they're going to make all the China bucks anyway, but they've got to get people to continue to come to the theater, to continue to see the movie more than once, because we know that's what a lot of Star Wars fans do. And if you go back to where this divergence happened is, I think, well, of course, The Last Jedi. You had basically a situation where some people really liked the film. Some people really, really didn't like the film. And if you want to reverse, if you want to get rid of the situation that you had with Solo, I mean, look, if The Last Jedi didn't alienate everybody, why didn't everyone go see Solo? Star Wars fans will consume anything with the Star Wars label on it. If you didn't alienate a huge group of your fandom, they would have showed up for that movie. If the media that you use as your marketing tool didn't antagonize the fandom nonstop for the past 5 years, that movie probably would have made money. But it didn't because, and I'll tell you again, get woke, go broke. You have all these actors and actresses coming in talking about, you know, toxic fandoms and this and that. Well, one by one, people start tuning out. My channel isn't huge, but you know, those Star Wars movies during the Last Jedi situation were getting hundreds of thousands of views. Those are people that probably didn't go see the movie. And not only did they not see the movie, but you actively turn them in to cheering against the franchise. And that's why this movie isn't going to succeed in winning back fans. Will it make $1 billion? Probably. But these days, for Disney, Marvel, this is like table stakes. This is like what you expect them to do. 500, 800 million, obviously. But with all the reshoots and all the big budgets of having J.J. Abrams and all this stuff, we'll never really know what Rise of the Skywalker actually costed until maybe a year from now when they have financial records have to come out. Surely we'll hear about all the revenue it makes, but the media never reports that against the cost of making something. Remember, if you spend $1.5 billion on a movie and it makes $1 billion, you still lost 500 million. And I know many of you are rolling your eyes, but look at the media. That's all they do. They promote sales. By the way, we never really know what marketing budgets are. We know that out there in the ether, there's this generally accepted number as that it's at least equal to the actual film's budget. So if you spend 500 million on a movie, you spend another 500 million advertising it. Well, now you've got $1 billion overhead cost. Now, I don't know how many movies cost $1 billion outside of maybe Avatar. It's hard to say. But long term, The Last Jedi fractured the modern day fan. I think that a lot of the original fans from the original trilogies were probably indifferent to a lot of this media because they weren't reading it. The new fans, the fans that got into Star Wars late, the people in their 20s, 30s, and early 40s who are keen, savvy to the internet culture saw a lot of these arguments about, toxic internet culture, toxic men. Men are the reason that Star Wars didn't succeed. It wasn't the writing. It wasn't anything else. It was men. Here we have Disney striking down YouTubers for posting leaks. Here we go again. And this is just the spin-up. We've got some time before this film actually releases, and we're going to see what the marketing looks like. We're going to see all of the full force of the media's marketing arm for Disney, and it's going to be a question of whether or not they can win back their fans. You have this article here, J.J. Abrams is not screwing around with the Star Wars ending. Director promises the film will feature a meaningful ending in a 9-movie saga. Maybe. Who will it mean? I mean, the Star Wars fandom is so vast that you're just never going to please everybody. That's not going to happen. That's not realistic. You fractured off a chunk of your fans, undeniably, with The Last Jedi and the media doing that, alienating your fans. Can you win them back with this film in one film? Maybe, but it's a really difficult task. I mean, you've made the men of Star Wars, you've tarnished their histories, in my opinion. You turn Luke Skywalker into a loser. You just spat on a lot of the most beloved characters. And on top of that, you just brought him back in to traipse him around there to get people to buy tickets, a la Lando Calrissian in this film. You just have a lot of this emotion that you've been farming for money, and it's never been more clear than in the Last Jedi's final trailer. You have an emotional scene where 3PO is basically, 3PO goes, "I'm just taking one last look at my friends," meaning maybe they're going to end 3PO. They bring back all these characters just to kill them off. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like bringing back Luke Skywalker or Han Solo and turning them into losers. You bring them back in, you get the ticket sales of people that like the original characters, and then you're like, oh yeah, we're just going to tarnish the history. Even Mark Hamill, as unhinged as he is online, has never really appeared to be happy with the way that they took his character. So are you going to be able to undo all of that using flashbacks and, bringing people back to life? Are you going to explain why you turned the guys into just total jerks in the last couple films? Are you going to make that right? Or are you going to just leave them as disillusioned, losers? In a way, you did do some redemptions. I don't want to give out too many spoilers, but in a lot of ways, I think Star Wars, The Rise of the Skywalker, has too much ground to make up. Can it be successful? Sure, but it's going to have to get legs. I have no interest at all in seeing it the first weekend. If people I trust come out and say, hey, no, they actually did good with this, I might see it. I have very little interest in the Mary Sue character. And a lot of the just emotional manipulation that they do to the Star Wars fandom. Daisy Ridley's character, uninspired. It's a big forehead. That's a thing, but I don't know. The Last Jedi just really, really, really turned me off to Star Wars, and the media surrounding it really, really turned me off to it. So it'll be interesting to see if J.J. Abrams can do this. I don't think he can, and if he fails, I'm not sure it'll be his fault, because really, we've got the culmination of years of antagonistic advertising, poor filmmaking. Look at what's happening to Galaxy's Edge at Disney. It continues to underperform. You've clearly alienated the Star Wars fandom, and I don't think the argument that, oh, well, it's just oversaturation, I don't buy that. I think that if they were excellent films, I don't think people would get sick of seeing them. Imagine having an awesome Star Wars every year, which is what Disney told us we would have. Just hasn't come to pass. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't understand Star Wars. I think they thought that they could just take it and print money with it. And in the meantime, they've alienated a good chunk of the old fans, and they haven't done well to bring on new fans. If you look at the toys at Walmart, the toy section for you know, the latest characters, they're all on clearance. Rose Tico dolls are everywhere. By now, they're like the Super Bowl t-shirts for the losing team making their way to like Somalia. Some kid in some other impoverished nation probably has a bunch of Rose Tico dolls. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Hasbro will tell you that the sales of the toys have tanked. So you're not bringing on new fans. You're not keeping old fans. What is one movie going to do? Going to have to find out. But striking YouTubers who are covering it isn't a great start. We'll see how these next 2 months go. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.